this room, isn't it? So here we are. We're going to talk about my favorite bass. I have a bunch. This is the Jaydee Series 3 in pink. Yes, it's in pink. Let's talk about what pink does. All right. As you've seen, there are videos floating around. We're talking about basically out of the instrument. We're talking about what makes it tick, what it sounds like, our favorite settings, all that kind of stuff. Props to Jeff Jenkins for the idea. We're going to just see some different basses. All you guys who have really cool things, we're going to see some cool stuff. So with that said, let's talk about this Jaydee. This is a 1987 Series 3. It originally started life black, and the person who had it before me decided it was appropriate to paint it pink. Man, I'm really sad about that too, right? Alright, so let's talk about this specifically. This bass is handmade by John Diggins in Birmingham, England, and his two sons, Andy and Mike. Hats off to you guys. You make great basses. This guitar specifically was again brought to me through a guy in North Carolina who had a number of them at the time. This guitar has kind of become signature for me in a lot of places, and a lot of you know that because of how often you see it, and of course because of what it is and what it does. So let's kind of go through here, and I'll just kind of talk you through. And if you haven't seen my other videos, there's plenty of them to watch on Jaydee's, but I wanted to give you this one again specifically because this is my favorite. This is the one that basically stays put. I have a fretless also. This one is the one that gives first round all the time. So what we have here is we have two custom-made pickups. Jaydee makes their own. There's two versions of the pickup. There's one that is a reverse set of P-bass styles, where underneath these covers they would have the reverse P coils. There's another set which are the newer models, which have the basic blade or the long poles with windings, long coils, that's it. These are the original ones that are the reverse P style. This bass was made famous by Mark King. He played a Series 1 which is actually larger than this, different dimensionality. He did it all through starting with 1980, had a number of them. You can watch all the old videos, it's cool. On the controls here, because this bass has been slightly modified from a standard based on the lights, that's fun, isn't it? What we have here is we have a pickup selector which will actually turn it off. So when the light here is on, it means that the system is engaged. If I turn it off, it means that it's off. Now it is plugged into the 1/4-inch jack. It is still drawing power from the batteries, so you don't want to leave it plugged in when you're not using it. So we have three options. We have back pickup, the middle selector is for both, and if I flick it to the front, it's just front pickup. And then of course we have a volume and a master tone, an active passive toggle, and then a 3-band EQ, okay, bass, mids, treble. And then this one of course has the lights. Alright, so again I can do that, or I can turn them on all the way and just leave it. For those of you who've seen me play this guitar live, you know I like to open a show with it because a stage black setup with just one little light trickling here and there is really cool. In essence, what we're going to do here is I'm just going to kind of go through and play a few things. We'll go through the pickups, we'll go through the EQ. As it sits right this minute, if I don't touch anything, it is literally my favorite setting. Okay? One of the things that you have to do when you play any guitar is find what works for you, dial it in until you have the sound that you want, that you're looking for. Okay? So again, what I started with, it's very bright because I'm playing on the back pickup. And I have the EQs set where the treble and the mids are about 50%, probably 55 on the mids. And I have the bass boosted almost all the way. Okay, so it's that kind of thing. It is very bright, even fingerstyle. One of the funny things about these guitars is that they're very precise. No, it's not a precision, but it is precise. If you make a note, just you throw something, you screw up something, you play something wrong, it is very obvious because of how concise and precise this thing is. Again, because it's slightly active, I don't know as I would put this into the EMG category or some of the other ones that we have here in the States as far as tone variances, as far as what it's going to sound like. This bass is not forgiving. So if you make a wrong choice or you accidentally slide into a note, It is very, very obvious. Okay? So the jazz rules apply. If you do it once, do it twice, and nobody knows you screwed up. Love it. That's for Roy. Anyway, so if I'm playing a riff, okay, that's the back pickup. Obviously, I'm sticking close to the notes. That's one of the Innocent Monday songs. Let's go on and try some other things here. So I'm going to roll the pickup selector into where I have both. Same riff, just so you can hear the differences. Okay, so that's what it sounds like with both pickups on. Now mind you, I have not touched the EQ since I turned it on. So let's go on with the front pickup. Now this is front pickup only. Same riff. You can automatically hear the tone difference in playing this pickup versus this one. Okay, so you can hear the difference among the three settings. Now again, I can do some things with this. I can move this around. I can set my master volume to high. I can set my master tone to off. Very bassy sounding, even if I go back to my back pickup. But you'll notice that little tone that creeps through that's purely Jaydee is always there, even if I don't have the tone rolled up. It's always going to be there because that's the nature of this preamp. Now, I'm not going to go through really and destroy your ears. The treble boost on this guitar can be very, very aggressive. And if you think that this is very aggressive, let's jack the treble up. It cuts through tremendously, almost to the point of being painful. Now, again, Mark King made these basses famous. What he used in his EQ settings were radically different, and also the guitar itself was radically different than this one because of pickup spacing and the overall size and build. Mind you, these are very consistent. I have owned probably 14 or 15 of these over the past 10 years or so. I wouldn't trade them for anything. I wouldn't swap them, I wouldn't exchange them, I wouldn't sacrifice them for anything because they have this tone. They're very similar in looks to an Alembic, and I've heard that comparison many, many times. It's okay. The Alembic does great things also because you have the filtering system with the Q filter on the electronics and all that. This doesn't have that. This just has direct tone. So again, also this is a slapper's bass. I mean, of course you can play fingerstyle. Okay, it is very barky, as you can tell. I'm going to go back to the middle selection. Okay, it's very, very bright, very distinct, very honky. That mid-range thing is what these are known for. Obviously, since you don't see a lot of these in the States, there's a handful, and I probably own most of them. There are, I think, probably 5 that I can think of off the top of my head that I've not had my hands on. The rest of them I have owned in some capacity. I've either had them passing through or I've kept them for a while, and again, I have videos for that kind of thing. If you like this instrument, there's always an option to get one. These have a 2-year backlog. Okay, John Diggins and his 2 sons are hard at work making these things. They're making them the best they can because these are literally made by hand. They start off with a block of mahogany. They glue together all the pieces. They hand cut, hand sand, and hand finish these. This is a real live custom instrument, not like some others that are CNC'd. There is no CNC on this. Okay. Of course, the tuners are Schallers, and they have a company that makes the bridges and the tailpiece and the brass block that sits underneath this bridge. There's also somebody who has prepared the electronics for them. Okay. Other than that, everything you see is handcrafted. This board is ebony. Every one of these, with the exception of the Jaydee Series, has a 5-piece neck. Okay. These are set neck. I'm going to flip this over so you can see. This is a set neck joint. Okay, so it's glued in. So it looks like a neck through, but it's actually pitched and set. Okay. Fingerboard being ebony, I've not seen one in person. I've only seen one or two that people have had made that are not ebony fingerboards. And of course, they have a standard kind of Gibson style truss rod for adjustment. The headstock itself was designed by John Diggins himself. It's designed as the peace sign, kind of like that. Of course, I have a video of another one that has more of a Fender style headstock. It was made as a one-off. There are 4 or 5 of those that exist total. Okay. With that said, if you have questions about this, feel free to share. Fire away, because you know what? For those of you who are local, you'll probably see this thing out and about as I play. For some of you who are far away, you might also see it, but I have a tendency to keep this one close to home, simply for the fact that it's very hard to replicate this if something were to happen to it. So, when you see it playing, you'll see it going like this. As you can tell, the more I dig in, the more slapback I get. My strings are Kalium strings, and these are the 98 set. So these are, in essence, kind of a hybrid mix. They're nickel over steel. They don't eat the frets. They're extremely springy and bouncy because I can play with all that nice thing where I'm not having the strings too rigid. It's a pleasure doing this for you all. I hope you enjoyed this. Again, any questions, anything you want to talk about, I can put you in contact with the people, with the Jaydee clan, the Diggins family, if you want to have one made. If you're looking for one used, hit me up. I'm sure I can probably tell you about it when you find one. Until next time, peace! Play bass.